Welcome to the tutorial for how to use the EvBoo wristband printing app. Printing wristbands, barcoded wristbands in particular, is a feature of EvBoo that allows you to provide individual named wristbands to your participants whilst they're on site and potentially use those to track people leaving and departing your site. By the time your event is about to start, we will have contacted you and given you access to the EvBoo printer app, which runs on Windows-based computers. Having installed that, you'll be presented with a screen asking you for your unique event identifier.
As an administrator, you can obtain your unique event ID by going to the booking system, logging in, going to the user menu, picking My Details, and there you'll find your event unique ID.
I'm going to add one here as part of a demo system. This then takes a minute or so to connect and establish and verify your event details. And when ready, it will say so here. Okay, there we go. So one of the first things you're going to want to do is to have set up your printers. So we can do that by going into the settings menu and going to printer. So this brings up the configure printer window, which you can see in front of you. This allows you to configure up to 2 printers. Those printers are either Zebra HC100s or Zebra ZD510-HC. Both those are a similar model and print a range of different wristbands. The ones we recommend are the splash-enabled wristbands, and again, in many cases, we'll supply both the printers and the wristbands to you as part of your event. So having got the IP address of your printer, that has to be an IP address that you can access from this machine in order for it to work. You would now go in and enter the IP address here and unclick disable. And if you've got a second printer, add the second printer and again unclick disable. And then you would go on and click the OK button to set that. And the app will go away and double check that the printers are connected and everything is okay. In addition, you can now choose which wristband printers you want to print different color wristbands on. We'll talk a little bit about allocating colors in a second, but ultimately, depending on the type of participant, whether they're adults or young people, you can allocate different color wristbands and then effectively evenly distribute those colors across the 2 printers that you may have. If you've only got 1 printer, allocate all of the colors that you need to that printer. If you've got 2, then typically allocate the participant ones, the ones that are most frequently going to be printed, to the first printer, and then perhaps all the other colors to the second printer, and all of that will avoid the need for you to replace cartridges multiple times. When you've got all of this configured, you can click on OK, and then your printers have been set up. Okay, by now you will have successfully set up your printers. I've left mine still disabled, but because they're not connected for this tutorial. So the next thing we should do is to go in and allocate colors. So from the settings menu, color allocation. In this menu, you will find a number of key bits of information about the types of participant that you've got and wristbands that are associated with them. So here, for example, the number of registrations, number of participants that you've got, and any attendees that are not validated. Those are normally service team or staff team members which haven't had them accepted into a service team. So if you have that number, you should go away and double check those. What you should be able to see here is we have a summary of the different types of user, and you can allocate colors based on 2 key elements. What is the type of role, the event role? Are they a participant, young leader, service team member, external contractor, and there may be many others for your event. And then the other criteria that you can use is the visit period. In this case, they're all the whole event. But if you offer, for example, day visitors, those again are options where you can choose potentially to allocate a different color. Or in some cases, we can also print the words day visitor on those wristbands if you want to reduce the number of colors that you're using. The other bits are for information only, but it's also worth checking here the short name. If you don't like the way this is described, for your event, get in contact and we can go and configure that for you. But this will be printed on the wristband so that you can go away and see. And then the wristband will also have a big letter that is used for identifying types of, again, the types of role, normally the first letter. And again, if you want a different letter, please let us know. But what we have here is the ability to allow you to share the same colours, because you might decide that you want all of the service team adults to have the same, sorry, the service team and the participant adults leaders to have the same colour, but maybe a different letter. So there's different things you can do, and you can see here we've put an X against an external contractor to highlight those, but again, they could potentially have the same colour as other adults. These are all entirely your choice and will have been discussed with you probably prior to the point in which we're going to start printing wristbands. But again, what you'll also see here is an approximate count of how many there are in each of those groups, again giving you a bit of a clue as to how many wristbands you're going to need. So you need to go and allocate these colours. They've been done already in this event, but if you right click on them, you can choose any of the colours you like. So we go for yellow, and there you'll see after a short delay, those colours get updated. Again, entirely up to you how you allocate those. Once they're all completed, you can go away and start printing. It should be noted though, if you leave any of these blank, they won't appear in the search box, because only those with allocated colours will be shown. Okay, now we're back at the main printer app, and now we've set up the printers and we've allocated our colours, which means we're pretty much good to go. Worth pointing out at this point, if you have a special graphic that you want on your wristbands, again, I'm sure you'll have communicated that with us already. We'd have configured that, preloaded that onto the printers for you. But if you have any problems with that, again, do let us know. It is possible to put your own logo onto those wristbands. Okay, so the next thing is we can just do a little bit on test printing. So you might want to just do a test print prior to getting started. So under the test print menu, you can do a matrix. That means it will print a bit of a grid on the wristband. I'll just highlight if there's any issues with the printers. So you can do a test print of a matrix, a grid out to either of the wristbands, or you can do a sample. And a sample just will give you a very simple sample wristband. That's easy to say. To either the printers. Again, make sure everything's working. Potentially make sure whether your logos are in place. So good time now to give those a go and make sure that you're talking to the printers correctly. If not, go back, make sure they're configured correctly, check the IP addresses, check you've got connectivity in the normal way you would at this point. So a couple of really helpful features now to try and help you find those people. So it will all depend what you're doing as to how you might want to go and search for people. But what we'll start off with is a group. So this is a scenario where a leader comes in and perhaps you're printing on the day. They're coming in to tell you that they've all arrived and they want all of their wristbands. So we're going to go for a sample, a group here. Got quite a lot of those, I'm afraid. Now what you'll notice, I put the name in and then I did a search. And it automatically switched over here the search scope. I didn't change anything. So I'll show that again. Set up to be individuals, click search. It's moved to group. Now that's because there isn't an individual named Ripley. Had it have found somebody with their name, first name or surname as Ripley, then it would have gone to that individual. So if you are looking for a group and you have that problem, make sure you have groups selected over here. But under normal circumstances, or a lot of circumstances, it's possible to, if it doesn't find a person, it will go and try the groups. And here we have found one. So now I'm going to pick one of these earlier groups, this one here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click on this part here. Double clicking in there, that opens up the whole group. There's only one participant in this group, but it has opened up the whole group and it's listed them all. So now I'm going to pick one of these to say they are all the same group. This is a demo app, but if I click on here, I've actually picked up a group that's got 2 people, and you'll notice that there are 2 wristbands to be printed. If I select on the other one, both of them are highlighted. That means that they've not been printed before. Now, if you've done printing earlier and you've sent out a whole batch and you know that there's a couple on here that are in this color, then the beauty there is that you know which ones you need to print out for that leader. Makes it a little bit easier to select, particularly when you've got a long list. If they come up in red, that's potentially because they're a service team or a staff team member and they haven't been validated. Again, you need to work out what you want to do in that scenario if they've not been approved to be at your event. But now printing a single wristband is very simple. I just click on the one I want, and I then click print over here, and away they go. That wristband gets printed, and it will come up. If you need to put the color into the wristband printer, it will check the printer. If the right color is in there, it will print. If the wrong color is in there, it will ask you to change the color on the right printer. And again, once you've done that, away you go. You can override it. It doesn't ask you a second time. So if it asks you to change wristband from red to yellow and you leave it in and you click OK, it will continue to print. That allows you to override and not be restricted in the event of you not having the right wristband colors available, for example. Now that's printing one wristband, very simple. Select them and then print. If I wanted to print two, then I can use all of the normal key combinations that I can in other Windows apps. So I can have the top one highlighted, and then I can go to the bottom and I can press Shift and click. That will select them all. I can do Control and I can do Control and A. That will also select them all. I can click on this piece up here. That will select them all. Or I can pick them individually with the Control key. Difficult to display with only two on here. The other item that I can do is I can select them all, and then I can hold the Control key and unselect them. So in that case, only this one here has now been selected. I've unselected the bottom one. So a whole range of combinations on how I can select. So again, all of them, one of them, or a multiple of all three by using Control and Shift as you would in any other Windows app. And then when I'm ready and I've got the right selection, again, I press print, and it will go through and it will print those to the printer as before, checking the right colors, printing all of the colors collectively together. So all of the green ones would go first, and then it might ask you to put yellow into another printer, and you move those, it will do all the yellow and then any other colors. And again, as you start to use this, you might feel that it's more efficient to have different colors in different printers to avoid this wristband cartridge swapping. And again, that was in the printer settings that you could change that. Okay, that's simple as that. That's printing wristbands. That's obviously finding a group. What we haven't done is finding an individual. So we know that this one here is called Smith. So if I go now and do Smith, I bring back a range of Smiths. You can see I can scroll further down. There are lots of Smiths in this system. So from here I can start to pick them. It tells me where they're from. I can obviously now start to find out which Smith that I want. I can either pick the one that I want, so maybe it's this one here from the activities team, and then I can go print. Or in the if I wanted to select more, like in the earlier section, I can actually start to hold the Control key, pick these ones. You can see how I'm picking those. I can do a range by holding the Shift key and click. And I can unselect some as well by then continuing to hold the Control key and unselecting them. So hopefully you'll now see the ones that have been easily selected. And again, I can click print and away. That will print all the ones that I need. Or as I said before, print them all by clicking in that corner. Probably not what I want to do here. So just to recap, I can search for my group name. In this case, I'm searching for Ripley. I get my groups. I can double click. I can search on a surname. Here we are, 3 surnames here that are relevant. Click on that one. I can print it. Tells me what again, a whole bunch of information about that person. And I can actually search by barcode as well, or by individual number. So if I know that that individual, just stealing that number from there, 166153, I can do a search for them. If I had a barcode reader and the individual had brought their barcode, I could scan them. I could print that. So this also works with a group number. So if I know the group number, 27007 in this case, and do a search, there we go. There's my one group. And as before, double click, and I'm now able to show anyone in that group. Only one person here. Now, the final thing to say on this app also does allow you to record people, whether they are on-site or off-site. And exactly the same way, but rather than clicking on print, you'd click on check-in. So again, selecting those people and then clicking the check-in. Now you've got the location here, so you can mark them on-site, that's the main site, or you can mark them off-site, as in they've left. So what I normally would do here is if you're printing all the wristbands for everybody, I would check who's arrived. I would print the wristbands for those that have arrived. I would print them, and then whilst they're still selected, I would check them in as being on site, on the main site. And if anybody then comes and leaves, again, I can search them either via the wristband or via typing the number in and select them and mark them off site. So pick the location and then click on that button. And if you get it wrong, you move them on site when you're supposed to move them off site, not a problem. Just make sure that the last selection that you do is the correct one. So go to off site, click check in and mark them off-site. Have fun. Hope it works really well.